Hello, glorious fans of the internet. I'm your host, Brian Schonenberg. Let's get right. Let's get right into this show. This is the late This is a podcast that is on time, professional, and it's got a big crew working it. You know, just everyone's round the clock making sure this program's great. I'm here with my friend and personal footstool, Adrian Guadarrama Treja! Okay, today we're going to talk about this bill called Section 993, otherwise known as the Restoring Internet Freedom Bill.
What does that bill do?
You actual human trash can. Let me tell you what it does.
I'm blind.
Let me give you a quick rundown, actually, of the entire history of what's happened from 1934 all the way up until now. So in 1934, the FCC was born with the passing of the Communications Act of 1934. So the Communication Act of 1934 had 7 titles, the first 2 of which had to do with classifying telecommunication services. Title 1 was for regulating telephone and wire radio communications, and Title 2 was for stricter standards of communication providers. So things like telephone, gas, and electric regulations would apply to those kind of communication services. So then the birth of the internet happened in the late 1980s or something, and they were classified, internet service providers were classified under Title 1, which basically meant they could do what the frick ever. It didn't matter. They didn't do a lot with that, but in 2007, Comcast was caught for throttling internet speeds.
The amount of bandwidth.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for bringing that up. The amount of bandwidth. They were paying for high speeds and they were getting trash. This is what began what I would like to call the Title I lawsuits. This is a time between 2007 and 2015 where internet service providers and the FCC sued each other back and forth over rights and regulations of ISPs. The Supreme Court ruled against the FCC multiple times, saying, if you want these changes, you must reclassify internet service providers under Title II. Title I didn't allow the FCC to put the kind of regulations that they wanted to on internet service providers. Verizon and multiple other companies kept countersuing the FCC, stating, you can't regulate us like this. We're stated under the Communications Act of 1934 that we have these freedoms, America! Oh! But in 2015, the FCC said, all right, I'm tired of this stupid crap. I'm tired of getting knocked back by the freaking Supreme Court telling us that we can't classify for the... So we're going to release this 528-page bill, 528 pages. It all had to be written out. 528-page bill that would reclassify internet service providers under Title II. And it passed! It freaking passed! Net neutrality was put in place in 2015. It's a very recent addition. This is it was great. It was awesome. Basically, your internet was safer now. You basically had insurance on whether or not you were paying for the stuff you were getting. It was a great time. It was amazing. Too bad that was only for a freaking year. Because in 2016, the Trump administration came into office, and the first thing he does, well, not the first thing he does, but like one of the first things he does is make a Jeep. Are you?
So you made a Jeep pie.
Alright, I'm back. So then Ajit Pai was made head of the FCC chair, and he stated that he was ready to target and destroy net neutrality. He said it was what he wanted to tear down. He decided to propose the Restoring Internet Freedom Bill. This would tear down the 8 long and hard years of the Title I lawsuits, and again give free rein to the ISPs to throttle internet speeds, put up paywalls, introduce internet fast lanes, and block certain businesses from having their websites viewed on the ISP's plan. So basically, they would be able to do whatever they want again.
So why would they want to not show a certain person's website?
Well, it's all about competition, right? If freaking Comcast releases this new TV show streaming service, and freaking Netflix is over here raking in the millions, well, Comcast isn't going to want Netflix to have this high internet speed, to have everyone have free access to this fast and useful website. So they're going to slow it down or block it on their service. They're going to slow it down and make their service really fast. so that people can really honestly only have, if they have ISPs like Comcast, they can only use that service. It's stupid and it's biased. You know why it's biased also? I have to kind of state this in the middle because I didn't write this in here. But you can't really choose your internet service provider. If you can have a choice between 2 or 3 internet service providers within an area, you are like blessed. Most areas only really have one internet service provider for that place. So if you want a different plan, it's not as simple as going, oh, I would like to be off of Suddenlink, or I would like to be off of AT&T's service plan. I would like to do something that's a little bit more to my taste. Frick you! You don't get to make that decision. You have to be stuck with those kinds of problems. You gotta pay for that stuff. It's terrible. So it's not even actually capitalistic, because you can't support other businesses. It's dictated by these stupid freaking region-controlled areas that these internet service providers have, like, reign over. It's terrible. Anyways, Ajit Pai, in a bunch of interviews, clearly gave some reasons for why these changes were put into place, but we have to explain why they're wrong. I'll go ahead and put up the first interview right now. Here it is. Super slide. Boom. Boom. Boom.
My concern is that by imposing those heavy-handed economic regulations on internet service providers, big and small, we could end up disincentivizing companies from wanting to build out internet access to a lot of parts of the country, low-income, urban, and rural areas, for example. And that, I think, is something that nobody would benefit from.
That's stupid. You know why that's stupid? Because tons of businesses make billions of dollars on the internet. The internet is lucrative. The internet is profitable. There are some businesses that will never leave because of the internet. Amazon and Google are just to name a few. But if there weren't these regulations in place, what would happen? What the frick would happen?
Well, then ISPs would have free reign over whose websites they can choose to show their customers or not. So yeah, like you said, like the Netflix example, if Comcast has their own streaming service, they can just block Netflix so that they can't use it. So the same thing, you know, with websites of small companies. If they don't like that small company, they just block them, and then their customers can't see them, and then the small companies lose money.
That's stupid. Like, Netflix can probably take the hit of losing all the Comcast users from watching their stuff. But a small business that performs locally on some, like, internet coffee shop thing, like, getting shut down there means that the heavy regulations don't even matter. Like, they can't survive unless they have, you know, some form of equal representation on the internet. So, you know, although big businesses might be able to, you know, make more decisive decisions about whose plan they're on, smaller businesses are going to get fricked over by this. This is terrible. All right, next clip!
One of the issues here is whether or not we treat broadband like a utility. And if it's treated like a utility, the requirement is that you, as the provider, are not allowed to put your finger on the scale and slow one person down or speed somebody else up. And I just want to pose a hypothetical to you.
Sure.
Let's just say Comcast created a new TV series, and it just so happened that that competed with a Netflix series very similarly. If these rules go away, how is there not an incredible incentive for Comcast to slow Netflix down coming into my house and make their video, the Comcast video, very robust?
So under that hypothetical, one of the things that's important to remember is that it is a hypothetical, that we don't see evidence of that happening in the marketplace on a widespread level.
There have been some examples.
Sounds pretty good, except it wasn't, because he said that there was he didn't really see any evidence of throttling internet speeds, or said it was rare. It was a rare case. In those, you know, anecdotal cases that'll happen. All we have to do to check to see if they're going to do anything corrupt is we don't have to make them take a polygraph test. We don't have to make them take a lie detector test. We just have to look at some area where they had complete control over their internet. And that is no better represented than in the mobile phone service providers. If you look at a bunch of lawsuits the FCC performed against mobile phone service providers, you'll find tons of cases where apps were blocked, data usage was throttled, things happened. There were cases where AT&T, if you had unlimited data, if you got above 30 gigabytes, your data was throttled to make it slower. AT&T, Verizon, and what was that one called? The dot, the one period? The period?
$40, period.
They all blocked Google Wallet from being used on cell phones to support their own mobile phone wallet app called ISIS. Not even joking, it's literally called ISIS.
So you can see this yourself because some phone carriers don't let you use your phone as a hotspot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they don't want you sharing your high-speed internet with other people.
So they clearly are exploiting the system. They'll take advantage of whatever they can get their hands on. So there's clearly evidence that exploitation is possible through these companies. It's not a blanket rare case like, oh, this only happens in this anecdotal circumstance. Multiple companies have come out saying they're ready and excited to use these new laws to their advantage. There was an opinion poll taken, and the only company that said that this might be disadvantageous to the security of the internet was Google Fiber. Google Fiber! Who uses Google Fiber? Comcast was like the only one that was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to put internet fast lanes in there. No one straight out came out saying this may give the internet service providers too much of an advantage. Because the internet service providers want that advantage. I mean, Ajit Pai worked for Verizon for like 3 years. Like, you don't think he has his hand in the corporate cookie jar? You can't trust these snakes. You can't trust these goddamn oil barons who are gonna come on here. They're gonna make these monopolies. They're gonna force you to pay high prices for low internet speeds. They're gonna make you do stuff that you don't want to do, like buy a TV service package and like get some kind of radio service package.
The flow of information is a human right.
We need to stop this stuff from happening. If you want to protect your internet from being bombarded by these freaking untrustworthy scam artists, go to change.org. Petition to repeal the the Restoring Internet Freedom Act. Email your congressman. Tell them that you fervently believe in the freedom of the internet and that you will not stand this complete disloyalty to our government, to our people, to the people who use the internet daily for their jobs, their businesses, their lives, their welfare, their happiness, for their entertainment. Talk to people about this. Tell them that you believe in a society where people are growing in the welfare of information and every single news story is posted the instant it happens and everyone knows more every day. Wouldn't that be a harmonious utopia?